Welcome to the final chapter of Katie and Lorenzo's journey, where survival transforms into something even more powerful, a life worth living. They've faced bullets, betrayal, and bloodshed. They've chosen each other in the darkest moments. Now comes the beautiful part, building forever. If you missed episodes 1 to 3, the links are waiting in the description. Trust me, you'll want the full story to feel every moment of what's coming. But real quick, my mom bet me I couldn't hit 2,000 subscribers telling love stories like this. She thinks romance is dead and nobody cares anymore. Let's prove her wrong. Hit that subscribe button right now and show her that great love stories still matter. Drop a comment. What are you most excited to see in this finale? The wedding? The baby? Let me know. And where are you watching from? All right, get comfortable. Maybe grab some tissues. Because we're about to witness two people who survived hell finally get their heaven. Episode 4 begins now. Katie woke slowly, awareness returning in pieces. Silk sheets against her skin. Morning light filtering through curtains. The solid warmth of Lorenzo's body beside her. 6 months had passed since the warehouse. 6 months since the bullet. 6 months since she'd almost lost everything. She turned her head, studying him in the golden light. His face was peaceful in sleep. The sharp jawline softened, dark lashes resting against his cheeks, the barbed wire tattoo on his neck a stark contrast to his relaxed expression. Her fingers traced the line of his collarbone, following the path down his chest where more tattoos bloomed across his skin. Dragons and chrysanthemums. Geometric patterns that told stories he rarely spoke aloud. His eyes opened, catching her hand mid-exploration. "Good morning, Mrs. Key-to-be," he murmured, voice rough with sleep. Katie smiled. "We're not married yet." Lorenzo pulled her closer, rolling so she was half on top of him. 3 more months. That's an eternity. She settled against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Strong. Steady. Real. "Worth the wait?" she asked. His hand slid into her hair. "You're worth everything." They lay in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Katie propped herself up on her elbow, looking down at him. "I had the dream again last night," she said quietly. Lorenzo's expression shifted immediately. "The warehouse." She nodded. "But it was different this time. In the dream, the bullet hit you instead." His thumb brushed her cheek. "I'm right here. We're both here." "I know." She touched her shoulder where the scar remained, a permanent reminder of that night. "Sometimes it still feels unreal. Like I'm going to wake up and you'll be gone." Lorenzo sat up, pulling her with him, so they were face to face. "I'm not going anywhere. Ever. You're stuck with me." Katie's smile returned. "Promise. Promise." He kissed her softly. "Now we have physical therapy in an hour, and Isabella is coming over after to terrorize us about wedding planning." Katie groaned. "Can we skip both and stay in bed?" Tempting. Lorenzo kissed her again, deeper this time. Very tempting. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. He ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Katie sighed. "You should check that." Lorenzo reluctantly reached for it. His expression darkened as he read the messages. "What is it?" Katie asked. He hesitated, then showed her the screen. Messages from Marco. "Marco, Jung-ho is asking questions again. About the wedding." "Marco, nothing threatening. But he wants you to know he's watching." "Marco, do you want me to send a message?" Katie felt ice settle in her stomach. Jung-ho, Lorenzo's half-brother. The one who'd tried to kill him years ago. The one who'd appeared on the mountain road the night of her kidnapping, and then vanished again. "He's not going to ruin this," Katie said firmly. "Our wedding. Our life. He doesn't get to touch it." Lorenzo set the phone down. "I'll handle it." "We'll handle it," Katie corrected. "Together. Like everything else." He looked at her for a long moment, something soft and vulnerable flickering in his eyes. "How did I get so lucky? You pulled me into a pool." Katie laughed. "Semantics." A loud knock on the door shattered the moment. "Lovebirds." Isabella's voice carried through the wood. "I know you're awake. I can hear you talking. Get dressed. We have venue visits in 2 hours." Lorenzo dropped his head back against the headboard. "I'm going to kill my sister." "No, you're not." Katie climbed out of bed, searching for clothes. "You love her." "Debatable." "Lorenzo." Isabella pounded again. "I'm coming in." "Don't you dare," he shouted back. Katie pulled on jeans and one of Lorenzo's shirts, laughing at his expression. "Come on. The sooner we deal with wedding planning, the sooner we get to the actual wedding." Lorenzo stood, crossing to her in 2 strides. His hands settled on her hips. 3 months, she echoed. Then I'm locking us in a room for a week. Katie's breath caught at the intensity in his voice. Only a week? To start. They kissed until Isabella threatened to break down the door. The physical therapy center was bright and modern, all clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows. Katie's therapist, Dr. Park, was a no-nonsense woman in her 40s who'd been working with Katie since she was released from the hospital. Range of motion looks excellent, Dr. Park said, guiding Katie's arm through a series of stretches. You're healing ahead of schedule. Katie grimaced as pain shot through her shoulder. Doesn't feel like it. That's normal. The muscle is rebuilding. Give it time. Dr. Park made notes on her tablet. Are you still having nightmares? Katie glanced at Lorenzo, who sat in a chair nearby, watching every movement like a hawk. Sometimes. That's also normal. Trauma takes time to process. Dr. Park released Katie's arm. But physically, you're doing great. Another month of therapy, and we can reevaluate. So I can. Katie trailed off, suddenly self-conscious. Dr. Park raised an eyebrow. Can you what? Resume normal activities? Katie's face heated. Dr. Park's expression didn't change, but there was amusement in her eyes. You mean sexual activity? Katie wanted to disappear. Lorenzo made a sound that might have been a cough or a laugh. Yes, Dr. Park said matter-of-factly. Just be mindful of the shoulder. Avoid positions that put direct pressure on it. Start slow. Listen to your body. Okay, thank you. And congratulations on the wedding, Dr. Park added. I saw the announcement in the paper. You two make a striking couple. After the session, they walked to Lorenzo's car in silence. Katie could feel him watching her. So, he said finally, normal activities. Katie refused to look at him. Shut up. I didn't say anything. You're thinking very loudly. Lorenzo opened the car door for her. Before she could slide in, he caught her hand. Katie. She turned, meeting his eyes. I don't care about timelines or doctor's clearance, he said quietly. I care about you being safe, being comfortable. We have all the time in the world. Katie's heart squeezed. She stepped closer, going up on her toes to kiss him. I know, but I'm tired of being careful. I'm tired of feeling broken. You're not broken. Then stop treating me like I am. His jaw tightened. That's not what I'm doing. Isn't it? She touched his face. Lorenzo, I love you for wanting to protect me. But I'm healed. Or I'm healing. And I want. She swallowed. I want to feel normal again. I want to feel like myself. Like us. Lorenzo's control visibly wavered. Katie. 3 months until the wedding, she whispered. That's a long time to wait. You're killing me. Good. She kissed him again, then slipped into the car before he could respond. The drive home was tense in the best way. Lorenzo's hand found her thigh, settling there possessively. Katie placed her hand over his. What are you thinking? She asked. Things I probably shouldn't say out loud. Tell me anyway. He glanced at her. I'm thinking about how much I want you. How much I've always wanted you. From the moment you pulled me into that pool. Katie's breath caught. Even then. Especially then. You looked at me like I was nobody. Like I was just a man. His hand tightened on her leg. No one had looked at me like that in years. It was terrifying. And addictive. I thought you were a stripper. Lorenzo laughed. A real, full laugh that made her heart soar. I know. It was perfect. They pulled into the driveway of their home. A modern house with traditional Korean elements, nestled in the hills outside Seoul. Private. Secure. Theirs. Inside, Lorenzo closed the door and immediately pulled Katie against him. Tell me to stop if this is too much. Don't stop, she breathed. He kissed her deeply, backing her toward the bedroom. Your shoulder is fine. She pulled at his shirt. Stop thinking. Just feel. They made it to the bedroom, shedding clothes along the way. Lorenzo was careful, gentle, watching her face for any sign of pain. Katie was done being careful. She pushed him onto the bed and straddled him. I'm not fragile. His hands gripped her hips. I know. Then stop holding back. Something shifted in his expression, control giving way to need. He flipped them, hovering over her. Are you sure? Yes. She pulled him down. I'm sure. Later, tangled in sheets and breathless, Katie traced the lines of his tattoos. I love you. Lorenzo kissed her shoulder, the scarred one. I love you more. Impossible. Watch me prove it. They stayed in bed until Isabella called. threatening to come over with bolt cutters if they didn't answer the door in 10 minutes. Wedding planning turned out to be a special kind of torture. Isabella had taken over Lorenzo's office, turning it into mission control for the event. Charts covered the walls. Fabric samples were scattered across every surface. A 3-ring binder labeled, "The Wedding," sat on the desk like a declaration of war. "Okay," Isabella said, wielding a marker like a weapon. "We have 12 weeks. Venue is confirmed. Ceremony at the traditional hannock, reception here at the estate rooftop. Caterer is locked in. Now we need to talk about the ceremony itself." Katie sat beside Lorenzo on the couch, his arm around her shoulders. "What about it? Do you want to incorporate the piebeak ceremony?" Isabella asked. "It's traditional Korean. You'd bow to Lorenzo's family elders, they'd give you advice and blessings." Katie looked at Lorenzo. "Do you want that?" He shrugged. "It's your choice." "It's our choice," Katie corrected. "This is our wedding. What do you want?" Lorenzo was quiet for a moment. "I want you to feel comfortable. You're already doing so much to honor my culture." "Because it's part of you," Katie interrupted. "And I love all of you. So yes, let's do the piebeak." Isabella made a note. "Great. Now guest list. We're at 60 confirmed, 15 maybes. That's over our original 50 limit." "Cut it to 50, Lorenzo said immediately. "Lorenzo, these are important people." "I don't care. This isn't a political event. It's our wedding. If they're not family or actual friends, they don't need to be there." Katie squeezed his hand. Isabella sighed. "Fine. I'll revise the list." They went through flowers. Katie wanted simple, elegant. Music, a mix of Korean and Western, and the timeline for the day. By the end of 2 hours, Katie's head was spinning. "One more thing," Isabella said. "Your dress fitting is next week. And Lorenzo, you're not allowed to see it until the wedding day." "Wouldn't dream of it," Lorenzo said. Isabella narrowed her eyes. "I mean it. You peek. I'll tell Marco to lock you in a closet." "Noted." After Isabella left, Katie slumped against Lorenzo. "Is it normal to be exhausted by wedding planning?" "Completely normal." He kissed the top of her head. "But it'll be worth it." "Will it?" "Yes. Because at the end of all this planning and stress and chaos, you'll be my wife." Katie tilted her head back to look at him. "I'm already yours." "I know. But I want the whole world to know it too." His phone buzzed. Again. This time, it was Marco calling. Lorenzo answered, putting it on speaker. "What is it?" "Boss, we have a situation," Marco said. "Jung-ho sent a package to the estate. It's clean, we scanned it. But you need to see what's inside." Lorenzo's expression went cold. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up. Katie sat up. "I'm coming with you." "Katie." "Don't," she said firmly. "We handle things together. Remember?" He studied her face, then nodded. "Together." The package was small, a wooden box wrapped in expensive paper, sitting on Lorenzo's desk in his office at the estate tower. Marco and 2 guards stood nearby, weapons visible. "It's not a bomb," Marco said as they entered. "We checked. No biological agents, no chemicals. Just this." Lorenzo opened the box carefully. Inside was a single item, a photograph. Katie leaned closer to see. It showed a young Lorenzo, maybe 16 or 17, standing next to another boy who looked strikingly similar. Same sharp features, same dark eyes. But where Lorenzo's expression was guarded, the other boy's was open, smiling. "That's Jung-ho," Lorenzo said quietly. Before everything went wrong, there was a note tucked beneath the photo. Lorenzo unfolded it. The message was simple, written in Korean. Marco translated. "Some bonds can't be broken, little brother. See you soon." Katie felt cold. "What does that mean?" "It means he's planning something," Lorenzo said. He looked at Marco. "Double security at the estate. And at Katie's office. I want eyes on every entrance and exit." "Already done, boss." Lorenzo turned to Katie. "I need you to promise me something." "What?" "If Jung-ho approaches you, ever, for any reason, you call me immediately. You don't engage. You don't try to handle it yourself. You call me." Katie wanted to argue, but the fear in his eyes stopped her. "I promise." Lorenzo pulled her close, his arms tight around her. She felt his heart racing against her chest. "He's not going to ruin this," Katie said into his shoulder. "Our wedding. Our life. We won't let him." "I know," but his voice said he wasn't sure. That night, lying in bed, Lorenzo couldn't sleep. Katie felt him staring at the ceiling. "Talk to me," she said. "I keep thinking about that photograph," he admitted. We were close once, Jung-ho and me, before my father pitted us against each other. Before the betrayal. Do you miss him? Lorenzo was quiet for a long time. I miss who he used to be. The brother I thought I had. But that person doesn't exist anymore. Katie rolled to face him. Then we move forward. We build our own family. One that doesn't have betrayal and violence at its foundation. He looked at her. Is that what you want? A family? Katie's heart skipped. Eventually. Don't you? I never thought I'd have the option, Lorenzo said quietly. Men like me, we don't usually get happy endings. You're not men like you, Katie said firmly. You're Lorenzo. You're the man who saved me. The man who's trying to build something better. The man I'm going to marry. He pulled her close. I don't deserve you. Too bad. You're stuck with me. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, shutting out the shadows, at least for one night. The next 3 months passed in a blur of planning, work, and stolen moments. Katie threw herself into her new role, heading the legitimate marketing and charity divisions of Lorenzo's restructured empire. It felt good to build something positive, to use her skills for more than survival. Lorenzo was busier than ever, methodically cutting ties with anything questionable in his business operations. It was slow work. You couldn't just walk away from certain worlds. But he was doing it. For her. For their future. They had dinner with Katie's father, who flew in from Denver twice more. Each visit, Robert Williams warmed to Lorenzo a little more. By the third visit, they were actually laughing together. You're good for my daughter, Robert told Lorenzo over coffee one evening. I wasn't sure at first, but I see it now. You make her happy. She makes me better, Lorenzo replied simply. Maya visited from Denver, staying at the estate and spending hours with Katie going over wedding details that Isabella hadn't already commandeered. You know you're living in a romance novel, right? Maya said, looking out at the Seoul skyline from Katie's office. Like this is not normal people life. Katie laughed. I'm aware. Are you happy? Deliriously. Even with the danger? The complicated past. Katie thought about it. The danger is mostly over. And everyone has a complicated past. Lorenzo's just happens to involve more guns than average. That's one way to put it. Maya grinned. But seriously, Katie, I'm happy for you. You found something real. I did, Katie agreed. I really did. The days counted down. 12 weeks became 8. 8 became 4. 4 became 2. And then suddenly it was the week of the wedding. Katie stood in the bridal boutique's fitting room, staring at herself in the mirror. The dress was perfect. White silk with delicate Korean-inspired embroidery along the hem and sleeves. It hugged her curves before flowing into an elegant train. The back was open, showing her shoulder scar. She'd asked the seamstress not to adjust for it. The scar was part of her story now. Part of their story. Isabella stood behind her, tears already streaming down her face. Oh my God, Lorenzo is going to die. That's the goal, Katie said, smiling. Maya circled her, examining every detail. Girl, you look like a goddess. I feel like myself, Katie said quietly. Finally, for so long after the shooting, she'd felt broken. Less than whole. But standing here now, in this dress, about to marry the man she loved, she felt complete. He's a lucky man, Isabella said, dabbing at her eyes. Don't tell him I said that. His ego is already insufferable. Katie laughed. Your secret's safe. The seamstress made a few final adjustments, then carefully helped Katie out of the dress. As they packed it for transport to the venue, Isabella's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and frowned. It's Marco. Hold on. She stepped away to answer. Katie watched her face change, concern flickering across her features. Isabella said something sharp in Korean, then hung up. What's wrong? Katie asked. Nothing major, Isabella said, but her smile was forced. Just last-minute security stuff for the wedding. Marco's being paranoid. Isabella, the younger woman sighed. Jung-ho was spotted near the Hanok venue yesterday. He didn't do anything, didn't try to get close. Just watched for a while, then left. Katie's stomach twisted. Does Lorenzo know? Marco's telling him now. Katie grabbed her phone and called Lorenzo. He answered on the first ring. I heard, she said before he could speak. About Jung-ho. Katie, I'm not scared, she interrupted. I'm angry. He doesn't get to do this. He doesn't get to cast a shadow over our wedding. I know. Marco and I are handling it. How? Lorenzo was quiet for a moment. I'm going to talk to him. What? No. Lorenzo, that's the only way this ends, he said firmly. I either face him now, or he keeps appearing at the edges of our life forever. I won't have that. I won't have you looking over your shoulder, wondering when he'll show up. Katie closed her eyes. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Lorenzo. Katie, please. His voice cracked slightly. Let me do this. Let me protect what we're building. She wanted to argue, but she heard the plea beneath his words. Okay, but you come back to me. Understand. Always. Lorenzo met Jung-ho at a neutral location. A park on the outskirts of Seoul, public enough to discourage violence, private enough for a real conversation. Jung-ho was already there, sitting on a bench feeding birds. He looked up as Lorenzo approached, his expression unreadable. Little brother, Jung-ho said. You came. You've been watching Katie, Lorenzo said without preamble. That stops now. I was just curious. Wanted to see the woman who finally tamed you. Jung-ho smiled. She's beautiful. Strong. I can see why you love her. If you touch her, relax. Jung-ho tossed more seeds to the birds. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm here because... He paused. Because you're getting married. And I wanted to say congratulations. Lorenzo stared at him, suspicious. That's it. That's it. Jung-ho finally looked at him directly. Lorenzo, I know what I did. The betrayal. The attempt on your life. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not even asking for a relationship. He took a breath. I wanted you to know that some part of me, the part that used to be your brother, is happy you found someone. Why should I believe you? You shouldn't. Jung-ho stood. But believe this, I'm leaving Seoul. Going to Singapore. Starting over. Father's empire, what's left of it, doesn't matter to me anymore. You can have it all. I'm done. Lorenzo didn't move. You're just walking away. I'm trying to. Jung-ho's smile was sad. You got out, Lorenzo. You're building something real, something good. I can't do that here. So I'm leaving. Maybe I'll find my own version of what you have. He paused. Or maybe I'll just finally get some peace. They stood in silence for a long moment. I don't forgive you, Lorenzo said finally. I know. And if you ever come near Katie or our family again, I will kill you. I know that too. Jung-ho held out his hand. Goodbye, little brother. Lorenzo looked at the offered hand for a long time. Then, against every instinct, he shook it. Goodbye, Jung-ho. Jung-ho walked away, disappearing into the crowd of people in the park. Marco emerged from where he'd been watching nearby. Boss, do we follow him? No, Lorenzo said. Let him go. He pulled out his phone and called Katie. She answered immediately. Are you okay? She asked. I'm okay. I'm coming home. What happened? I'll tell you when I get there. He paused. Katie. Yeah, I love you. I love you too. Hurry home. Lorenzo hung up and turned to Marco. Let's go. I have a wedding to get ready for. The night before the wedding, Katie and Lorenzo were separated according to tradition. Katie stayed at Isabella's apartment with her bridesmaids. Lorenzo remained at the estate with his groomsmen. Katie couldn't sleep. She paced Isabella's living room, too wired to settle. You know, Isabella said from the couch, most brides get nervous about the commitment. You seem nervous about being away from Lorenzo. I am, Katie admitted. I know it's only one night, but you've been through too much to take even one night apart lightly. Katie nodded. Is that crazy? Not even a little. Isabella patted the couch beside her. Come here. Katie sat, curling into her soon-to-be sister-in-law. You're good for him, Isabella said quietly. I need you to know that. Before tomorrow, before all the chaos of the wedding, I need you to hear it. You saved him, Katie. Not from bullets or kidnappings. You saved him from himself. From the darkness he was drowning in. Katie's throat tightened. He saved me too. I know. That's why it works. Isabella hugged her. Now try to sleep. Tomorrow, you're getting married. And my brother is going to completely lose his mind when he sees you in that dress. Katie laughed, finally feeling the nerves shift into excitement. Yeah. Oh yeah. I give him 5 seconds before he cries. He won't cry. Wanna bet? They stayed up another hour, talking and laughing, until Katie finally felt tired enough to sleep. At the estate, Lorenzo sat on the rooftop where it all began, where Katie had pulled him into the pool, changing everything. Marco joined him, holding 2 glasses of whiskey. Thought you might need this. Lorenzo took one. Thanks. They drank in silence, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline. Last night as a single man, Marco observed. Any regrets? None. Lorenzo didn't hesitate. Katie is the best thing that ever happened to me. Even with the chaos? Especially with the chaos. Lorenzo smiled. Before her, I was just existing, going through motions, building an empire, because that's what I was supposed to do. But Katie made me want more. Made me believe I could be more than what this world tried to make me. Marco raised his glass. To Katie. And to tomorrow. To tomorrow, Lorenzo echoed. They finished their drinks. Lorenzo looked at the pool, remembering that first night. I thought she was insane, he said, laughing. Pulling a complete stranger into a pool. I was ready to have her arrested. Good thing you didn't. Yeah, Lorenzo stood. I should try to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Boss, Marco called as Lorenzo headed for the door. You deserve this. The happiness. The love. All of it. Don't forget that. Lorenzo nodded, throat tight with emotion. Thanks, brother. He went to bed thinking about tomorrow. About Katie. About forever. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. Clear skies, warm sunshine, a gentle breeze. Katie woke early, nerves and excitement making sleep impossible. Isabella and the bridesmaids descended on her immediately, turning the preparation into a beautiful chaos of hair, makeup, and laughter. You're glowing, Maya said, watching the makeup artist work. Seriously, you look like a bride from a movie. I feel like I'm in a dream, Katie admitted. A really good dream that I don't want to wake up from. Isabella helped her into the dress. The silk slid over her skin like water, settling perfectly. Katie turned to look in the mirror and barely recognized herself. She looked radiant, happy, whole. The makeup artist had played up her eyes, making them luminous. Her hair was swept up in an elegant style that somehow looked effortless. The dress hugged every curve before flowing into a train that seemed to float. And her shoulder scar was visible, a silver line against her dark skin, beautiful in its own way. Oh my God, Maya whispered. Katie. Isabella was already crying. Don't look at me. I promised myself I'd hold it together until the ceremony. There was a knock on the door. It's Dad, Robert Williams called. Can I come in? Yes, Katie called back. Robert entered, stopping dead when he saw her. His eyes immediately filled with tears. Oh, sweetheart. Dad, don't you start, Katie said, but she was crying too. He crossed to her, taking both her hands. You look just like your mother did on our wedding day. Beautiful, strong, ready to take on the world. Katie hugged him carefully, mindful of the dress. I miss her. I know. She'd be so proud of you. He pulled back, looking at her seriously. Are you sure about this? About Lorenzo? Because if you have any doubts. None, Katie said firmly. I love him, Dad. More than I thought it was possible to love someone. Robert nodded slowly. Then let's get you married. At the traditional Hannock venue, Lorenzo was losing his mind. I can't do this, he said, pacing the preparation room. I can't stand up there and watch her walk down the aisle without completely falling apart. Marco adjusted Lorenzo's hanbok for the 10th time. Boss, that's literally what you're supposed to do. I'm not supposed to cry at my own wedding. Says who? Luis laughed from the corner. Boss, we've all seen you face down armed enemies without flinching. But a 5'6" woman makes you shake. She's terrifying, Lorenzo said seriously. She sees right through me. Knows exactly who I am and somehow loves me anyway. That's called marriage, Marco said, grinning. Get used to it. There was a soft knock, and Isabella peeked in. You ready, big brother? Lorenzo took a deep breath. As I'll ever be. Good, because your bride is on her way. Isabella's smile widened. And Lorenzo, you're not ready for what you're about to see. Nobody could be. She disappeared before he could ask what she meant. The ceremony space was perfect. Traditional Korean architecture, surrounded by carefully manicured gardens. 50 chairs arranged in neat rows. String lights hung overhead despite the daylight, ready for evening. Flowers everywhere, white and gold, simple and elegant. Guests filed in, a mix of Korean and American faces. Lorenzo's cleaned-up business associates, Katie's family and friends. The excitement in the air was palpable. Lorenzo stood at the altar with Marco beside him, trying not to fidget. He'd faced impossible odds without breaking a sweat. But standing here, waiting for Katie, his hands were shaking. Breathe, boss, Marco whispered. The music started, a blend of traditional Korean instruments and Western strings. beautiful, haunting. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle first. Then Isabella, winking at Lorenzo as she passed. And then, Katie appeared at the end of the aisle, her arm linked with her father's. Lorenzo forgot how to breathe. She was devastating. The dress, her smile, the way she was looking at him. It was too much. It was everything. His vision blurred with tears he couldn't stop. He didn't even try. "Oh my God," he whispered. Marco's hand landed on his shoulder, steadying. "Told you." Katie started walking toward him, and Lorenzo's entire world narrowed to her face. She was crying too, mascara threatening but somehow holding. Her smile was so radiant it hurt to look at. But he couldn't look away. Would never look away again. When she finally reached him, Robert placed Katie's hand in Lorenzo's. "Take care of my girl," Robert said quietly. "With my life," Lorenzo promised. Robert stepped back. Katie and Lorenzo turned to face each other, hands clasped. "Hi," Katie whispered. "Hi." Lorenzo's voice cracked. "You're so beautiful I can't form sentences." She laughed, and he fell in love all over again. The officiant began the ceremony, speaking in both Korean and English, honoring both their backgrounds. They went through the traditional bows. Katie moved through them perfectly, Isabella having coached her for weeks. And then it was time for vows. Lorenzo went first, taking a moment to compose himself. "Katie," he began, voice rough with emotion. "6 months ago you grabbed my hand and pulled me into a pool." Laughter rippled through the guests. "You had no idea who I was. You saw me as just a person. That's something I'd forgotten I could be." He paused, throat tight. "You've been shot because of me. Kidnapped because of me. Hurt because of me." His voice broke. "And somehow you're still here. You still chose me." Katie squeezed his hands, her own tears falling freely now. "I don't deserve you," Lorenzo continued. "I never will. But I promise to spend every day trying." He looked directly into her eyes. "I promise to trust you. To let you in, even when it scares me. To build the life we both deserve." He took a shaky breath. "I promise that you will never be a weakness. You're my strength. My partner. My home." His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "I love you. I choose you. Today and every day after." There wasn't a dry eye in the entire venue. Katie took a moment to collect herself before starting her own vows. "Lorenzo," she said, her voice stronger than she expected. "I pulled you into a pool thinking you were entertainment. More laughter. Turns out, you're so much more. You're my partner. My protector. My home." She looked at their joined hands. "I've seen you at your worst. I've seen you at your best. I choose all of it." She touched her shoulder, where the scar was visible. "This scar reminds me that love isn't just pretty words. It's action. It's sacrifice. It's choosing someone even when it's hard. Even when it hurts." Lorenzo's jaw clenched, fresh tears spilling. "You make me braver than I knew I could be," Katie continued. "You see me, really see me, in a way no one else ever has. And you love what you see. That's a gift I never expected and will never take for granted." Her voice grew firm. "I promise to stand beside you, not behind you. I promise to call you out when you're being overprotective." Laughter through the tears. "And I promise to love you, not in spite of your past, but including it. Because your past made you who you are. And I love who you are." She lifted their hands, kissing his knuckles. "You're mine, Lorenzo Key. Always." "Yours," he breathed. "Always yours." The officiant smiled. "The rings." Marco handed Lorenzo a simple platinum band. Lorenzo slid it onto Katie's finger with shaking hands. Isabella handed Katie a matching band. She slid it onto Lorenzo's finger, the metal cool against his skin. "By the power vested in me," the officiant said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Lorenzo, you may kiss your bride." Lorenzo didn't wait. He pulled Katie close, one hand cupping her face, the other settling at her waist. The kiss was deep, claiming, full of promise. Guests erupted in cheers and applause. When they finally pulled apart, Lorenzo rested his forehead against hers. "My wife." Katie's smile could have lit the entire city. "My husband." They walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, as everyone threw rose petals. Both were crying and laughing at the same time. In that moment, surrounded by people they loved, beginning forever together, everything was perfect. The reception at the estate rooftop was magical. The same rooftop where they'd met, now transformed. String lights created a canopy overhead. The pool glowed that same electric blue, surrounded by candles and flowers. Tables were arranged elegantly around a dance floor. Seoul's skyline provided the backdrop. Katie and Lorenzo made their entrance as Mr. and Mrs. Key to thunderous applause. "Our first dance," Lorenzo said, leading her to the floor. The music started, a slow, romantic melody. He pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other clasping hers. "This is where it all started," Katie whispered, looking at the pool. "No," Lorenzo said. "This is where our forever starts." They swayed together, lost in each other, barely aware of the guests watching. Katie rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I can't believe you're really mine," Lorenzo murmured. "Believe it. You're stuck with me." "Good." When the song ended, they kissed to more applause. Then Isabella approached the microphone for her maid of honor speech. "I've known Lorenzo my whole life," Isabella began. "He's been many things, brother, protector, sometimes pain in my ass. Laughter. But I've never seen him happy. Not like this. Not until Katie." Her voice softened. "Katie, you gave my brother something he thought he'd never have. Hope. You taught him that love isn't a weakness. It's the greatest strength." She raised her glass. "To the couple who survived everything to get here. To Katie and Lorenzo." "To Katie and Lorenzo," everyone echoed. Marco's best man speech came next. "Boss, sorry, Lorenzo. And I have been through a lot together," Marco said. "I've seen him face impossible odds without flinching. But watching him wait for Katie to walk down that aisle, that was the only time I've ever seen him scared." Lorenzo laughed, not denying it. "Katie, you did the impossible," Marco continued. "You tamed the beast. But more than that, you showed him he's more than what this world tried to make him." He raised his glass. "To love, loyalty, and the woman brave enough to pull a mafia boss into a pool." The reception flowed with laughter, dancing, and joy. Katie's father gave a tear-filled speech about watching his daughter become a strong, incredible woman. Lorenzo danced with Isabella, who teased him about crying during his vows. Katie threw her bouquet. Isabella caught it and looked genuinely shocked. "Well," Marco said, appearing at Isabella's side. "Interesting." Isabella's face went red. Katie filed that away for later investigation. As the night wore on, Lorenzo pulled Katie aside to a quiet corner of the rooftop. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For saying yes. For choosing this. For choosing me." He touched her face gently. "I know this world, this life. It's not what you planned." "Plans change," Katie said. "And you know what? I'm glad. Because my plan never included falling in love with someone who sees me the way you do. Who loves me the way you do." Lorenzo kissed her softly. "Ready to start forever? With you. Always." They rejoined the party, dancing until late, surrounded by everyone they loved. And when they finally left in a classic car decorated with just married signs, driving off into the Seoul night, Katie looked back one last time at the rooftop. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" Lorenzo asked. "For being exactly who you are. For giving me exactly this life." He brought her hand to his lips. "Thank you for pulling me into that pool." They drove home to start their forever. 6 weeks later, Katie stood in their bathroom, staring at a pregnancy test with shaking hands. "Positive." "Oh my God," she whispered. They hadn't been trying, but they also hadn't been preventing. After the wedding, they decided to just see what happened. Let life unfold naturally. Apparently, life had unfolded. Katie sat on the edge of the bathtub, test still in hand, 1,000 emotions flooding through her at once. Joy, terror, excitement, fear, a baby. They were going to have a baby. She heard the front door open. Lorenzo was home from a meeting. "Katie," he called. "You home?" "Bathroom." Her voice came out higher than normal. His footsteps approached. He appeared in the doorway, took one look at her face, and went pale. "What's wrong? Are you sick? Should I call the doctor?" Katie held up the test wordlessly. Lorenzo stared at it, then at her, then at it again. "That's..." He couldn't finish the sentence. "Positive," Katie said. "I'm pregnant." Lorenzo made a sound that wasn't quite a word. He moved toward her, dropped to his knees in front of the bathtub, and just stared at her stomach. "There's a person in there," he said, voice full of wonder. "A tiny person. That we made." Katie laughed, tears streaming down her face. "Yeah." His hands hovered over her still flat belly. "Can I?" She guided his hands to rest against her. "We made a baby." Lorenzo's face crumpled. He pressed his forehead to her stomach, shoulders shaking with sobs. Katie ran her fingers through his hair, crying with him. When he finally looked up, his face was wet with tears. I'm terrified. Me too. But so happy I can't breathe. Me too. He stood, pulling her up with him, and held her so tight she could barely breathe. We're having a baby. We are. Lorenzo pulled back, cupping her face. Are you okay? Do you feel okay? Should you be standing? Katie laughed. I'm fine. I'm pregnant, not broken. Right. But he was already mentally making lists. We need a doctor. A good one. The best one. And we need to set up a nursery. And baby-proof the house. Anne. Katie kissed him, stopping the spiral. We have 9 months. We'll figure it out. Lorenzo kissed her again, deeper this time. I love you. I love you too. They stayed like that for a long moment, just holding each other, processing the news. Then Katie's stomach growled loudly. Lorenzo immediately stepped back. You're hungry. I'll make food. What do you want? What sounds good? Do pregnant women have cravings right away? Katie laughed, following him to the kitchen. Lorenzo calmed down. I'm fine. But he was already pulling out ingredients, determined to feed her. Katie watched him, overwhelmed with love. They were going to be parents. They were going to have a family. After everything they'd been through, after bullets and betrayal and bloodshed, they were going to bring a new life into the world. It was terrifying. It was perfect. That night, lying in bed, Lorenzo couldn't stop staring at Katie's stomach. You're being weird, she said, amused. There's a baby in there. I'm aware. Our baby. Yes, Lorenzo. Our baby. He placed his hand on her stomach again. Hi, little one. I'm your dad. I'm probably going to be terrible at this, but I'm going to try my best. Your mom is amazing, so you lucked out there. Katie's heart melted. You're going to be a great father. What if I'm not? What if I screw them up? What if my past? Katie placed her hand over his. Lorenzo, look at me. He met her eyes. You are nothing like your father, she said firmly. You've spent years undoing the damage he caused, building something better. You will protect our child because that's who you are. But you'll also teach them, love them, show them how to be strong and kind and real. Lorenzo's eyes were wet. I'm so scared. Me too. But we're scared together. That makes it better. He kissed her gently. I love you. Both of you. Katie smiled. We love you too. They fell asleep with his hand on her stomach, already protecting their child. 9 months felt like an eternity and an instant. Katie's pregnancy was relatively smooth, though the first trimester hit her hard with nausea. Lorenzo was insufferably protective, hovering constantly until Katie threatened to banish him to the guest room. They set up a nursery together. Pale yellow walls, a beautiful crib, shelves for books and toys. Lorenzo assembled every piece of furniture himself, determined to do it perfectly. Isabella threw a baby shower that was somehow both elegant and chaotic. Maya flew in from Denver. Robert brought Katie's childhood baby photos. They didn't find out the gender. Wanted to be surprised. Lorenzo read every parenting book he could find. Katie caught him one night at 3 a.m., still awake, reading about newborn care. Come to bed, she said. What if I don't know what to do when they cry? Then we figure it out together. What if? Lorenzo. She took the book, set it aside, and pulled him back to bed. We're going to be fine. All 3 of us. The baby came 2 weeks early. Katie's water broke at 4 a.m. Lorenzo went into crisis mode, grabbing the hospital bag they'd packed weeks ago, helping her to the car, driving carefully but quickly. Breathe, he kept saying. I am breathing, Katie said through a contraction. You breathe. At the hospital, they were taken to a private room. Isabella arrived within the hour, having promised to be there. Marco and Luis waited outside, pacing like nervous uncles. Labor was long. 18 hours of contractions, breathing exercises. Lorenzo holding Katie's hand through every moment. You're doing great, he said for the 100th time. If you say that one more time, I will divorce you, Katie snapped. Isabella laughed from the corner. There's the Katie we know. Lorenzo just kissed her forehead. You're the strongest person I know. Finally, after what felt like forever, the doctor said, It's time to push. Katie gripped Lorenzo's hand so hard she thought she might break it. He didn't complain. 3 pushes. 4. 5. And then a baby's cry filled the room. It's a girl, the doctor announced. Katie sobbed with relief and joy. Lorenzo stood frozen, staring, tears streaming down his face. The nurses cleaned and wrapped the baby, then placed her in Katie's arms. She was tiny, perfect, beautiful. "Oh my God," Katie whispered. "Lorenzo, look at her." Lorenzo finally moved, leaning over to see their daughter's face. She had dark hair, Katie's nose, and eyes that were still trying to focus. "She's perfect," Lorenzo breathed. "Want to hold your daughter?" Katie asked. Lorenzo looked terrified. "What if I drop her?" "You won't." Carefully, so carefully, Katie transferred the baby into Lorenzo's arms. He cradled her like she was made of glass, staring at her face with complete awe. "Hi," he whispered. "Hi, sweetheart. I'm your dad." His voice broke. "I'm your dad." The baby's tiny hand wrapped around his finger. Lorenzo completely lost it, sobbing openly while holding his daughter. "She's holding my hand," he said to Katie, voice full of wonder. "She knows you," Katie said, crying just as hard. Isabella peeked in, saw the scene, and immediately started crying too. "Can I? Come meet your niece," Katie said. Isabella approached carefully, looking at the baby with pure love. "She's beautiful. What's her name?" Katie and Lorenzo looked at each other. They debated names for months, but never quite decided. Looking at their daughter now, Lorenzo said, "Hope. Her name is Hope." Katie's smile was radiant. "Hope Key. It's perfect." 3 years later, the same rooftop where it all began. Katie sat by the pool, watching Lorenzo teach their daughter to swim. Hope's laughter filled the air, bright and joyful. "Daddy, watch," Hope called, splashing water everywhere. "I'm watching, Princess," Lorenzo said, grinning. Katie placed a hand on her slightly rounded stomach, where baby number 2 was growing. They'd found out just last week. This time, they knew it was a boy. Isabella appeared beside Katie, sitting in the other lounge chair. "You two are disgusting. Disgustingly happy." "Sorry, not sorry," Katie said, smiling. "No, you're not." Isabella looked at her brother and niece. "He's a completely different person now. You know that, right? You changed him." "He changed himself," Katie said. "I just loved him while he did it." Lorenzo looked over at her, catching her eye. Even from a distance, even after 3 years of marriage, the connection between them was instant and electric. He mouthed, "I love you." She mouthed it back. Hope noticed her mother and scrambled out of the pool, running over. "Mama, did you see? I can swim." Katie pulled her daughter into her lap, not caring about the wet. "I saw, baby. You're amazing." Lorenzo joined them, dripping water everywhere. "We're all amazing. And modest," Isabella added dryly. They sat together as the sun set over Seoul, the city lighting up beneath them. The pool glowed blue, just like that first night. Katie looked around at her family, her husband, her daughter, her sister-in-law, the baby growing inside her, and felt overwhelmingly grateful. "What are you thinking?" Lorenzo asked, always able to read her. "I'm thinking about how I pulled a stranger into a pool and ended up with all of this." Lorenzo kissed her temple. "Best mistake of your life?" "Best decision," Katie corrected. "I chose you that night, even if I didn't know it yet. And I keep choosing you. Every single day." Hope, sandwiched between them, looked up. "Daddy, tell the pool story again." Lorenzo laughed. "Again? I've told you 100 times. Please." He couldn't resist. "Okay, so your mama thought I was a stripper." Katie groaned as Isabella and Hope both dissolved into giggles. But she wouldn't change a single thing. Not the chaos. Not the danger. Not the struggle. Because all of it, every terrifying, beautiful, impossible moment, had led her here. To this rooftop. This family. This love. To exactly where she was meant to be. The end. And there it is. The complete journey. From a chaotic pool party to forever. From strangers to soulmates. From survival to a life worth living. Katie and Lorenzo fought through bullets, betrayal, and their own fears to build something beautiful. A family. A future. A love that refused to break. Now here's what I need you to do. 1. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. 2. Drop a comment and tell me. What was your favorite moment from this entire series? Did you cry? Be honest, I did while writing it loudly, crying face. 3. Where in the world did this story find you? Your bed at midnight? A coffee shop? Your morning commute? I love knowing where these words traveled. Globe showing Europe, Africa. Thank you for taking this journey with Katie and Lorenzo. Thank you for believing in love stories that aren't afraid to get messy and real and complicated. You're amazing. Every single one of you. Until the next story.